Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem, a postmortem of my Blitz game number 456. I kicked off with d4, and my opponent played c6. An unusual move here, offering to transpose into the Caro Kann defense. So I obliged by playing e4. That's the main move. You can also play c4 and stay in queen's pawn opening territory, but e4 and then now d5 is the main idea of the Caro Kann, using c6 to support the d5 push and opening up a line for the light squared bishop. But my opponent plays in a different way. He plays with g6. You can see it's not an unheard of move. There's a few games in the database with this idea, but certainly by far a rare continuation. So anyway, after g6, I'm pretty much on my own. It looks like knight c3 is a main move here. Also, c4 is a good move. I mean, both these moves are clamping down on this d5 push. Since he didn't bother to play d5 on move 2, you can prevent it. And so why not? And you'll see it gives quite a good advantage to white here. Although it's a bit misleading. Black's setup is very solid, so white's just allowed to have a lot of space. And let's see, I could continue with knight c3 here to stay in the main line. But I thought, well, he's attacking the d-pawn. I might as well prepare to defend it with knight f3. And I'm just out of the opening book. One other idea I had here after the game, I spent a lot of time trying to calculate the e5 push. And I never really got it in. So one other idea here, it's not really in the opening book. Well, let's check. c4 is what I played. Is it at all in the opening book? No, it's not in the opening book at all. I was thinking e5 maybe was a possible move right here. Yeah, it's not played. But you see, the chess engine doesn't completely think it's a ridiculous idea. I mean, he's already committed to fianchettoing his bishop, so you're putting your pawn on e5 right away, trying to counteract that bishop fianchetto. So maybe it's an interesting and offbeat way to play. Anyway, I played with c4 there, and bishop g7, knight f3, and this is out of the opening book. So we're both on our own at this point, I guess. And I keep this edge for quite a while, knight f6. I think our development along here is very logical. I'm just bringing my knights out. He plays d6, a great flexible move. He can play e5 at some later date. He can choose to play c5 with his pawn on d6, or he can even choose to go d5 maybe at some point, if I let off some of the pressure here on the d5 square. So black's setup is flexible and solid, and white just has more space, but it's not like it's automatically winning. I went bishop e2 here. I thought the bishop maybe had more uses along this diagonal than along this one. You'll see on this diagonal, if I developed the bishop to d3, it'd just be hitting on these pawns over here. So far so good. Castles, I castle. He plays rook e8, and I go bishop g5. And this is where I start to calculate this e5 push, and he always seems to prevent it. I never really get a chance to push e5, but it seems like a desirable idea. If I were to push d5 instead, which is an alternative plan, then both his bishops have pretty good scope. This bishop would be looking along the dark squares, and this bishop has an open diagonal along the light squares. So that's why e5 is kind of an attractive idea here, but he's carefully geared his play against it. So, for example, his next move, knight bd7, he's just constantly controlling this square, and I never have a chance to play e5, except perhaps as a sacrifice. So anyway, he plays... Oh, no, my turn. I play h3. I'm still thinking of e5, and I just want to prevent this idea of knight to g4. And now he goes queen a5, bringing another piece to look at the e5 square from the side, so still preventing it. But the queen's a bit of a target there, so I go a3, thinking to play b5 and kick the queen. He drops his knight back to f8. Very passive position, but it does protect the h7 square. And there's that famous quote from Bent Larson, "There is no mate with my knight on f8." So something to keep in mind if you're in a defensive frame of mind. Anyway, I play b4, kick his queen back, and his queen drops to c7. And you see the engine really likes white's position a lot. I mean, what's not to like? I've castled, I've got all my minor pieces out, I've occupied the first 4 rows, and I've got control over the 5th row with my pawns. But of course, black can counterattack at various points by pushing some of his pawns forward in the center, and eventually that will happen. So, so I can sit on this advantage for a while, but it's still hard for me to figure out how to make progress. Bishop h4 is not the most accurate move. The engine wants to put the bishop on d3 now. That's interesting. Or move a rook. I think if I wasn't retreating the bishop and maneuvering with my minor pieces, I would probably try and reposition my rooks to better squares. Maybe an idea is rook to e1 and bishop to f1 and open up another line onto the e5 square. Anyway, I played bishop h4. He goes knight h5. And I'm starting to worry about his knight hopping into the f5 square, so f4 square. So I play queen d2, keep his knight out of there. And now he plays e5. So he could have played e5 at various points earlier than that, but having played it, e5, which I didn't notice at first, it actually supports the knight on f4. And I think he's got some interesting ideas here. I push on with d5, which is the right response. And then he goes knight f4 immediately. And, well, I drop the bishop back to g3. I'm thinking it would be useful to be able to trade off this knight. And he goes f5. I was expecting this. He's counterattacking the center. This is sort of like a King's Indian setup he's got now with the fianchettoed bishop. He wants to open up the center and open up this diagonal too. And my next move is actually a mistake, where I take the knight. I was still, thinking about how annoying it is to have this knight here. And, yeah, let's erase that arrow. But when I take the knight, of course, he takes back with the pawn. And what that does is it opens up this diagonal. And I totally neglected that. So I was thinking I'm winning a pawn here. I take, he takes, I take, and then he's going to get the pawn back on e4. So I guess it's not winning a pawn, it's just a trade. But after I take and he takes, my queen is doing double duty here. I wanted to take the pawn, but I am needed to defend the knight. So after I grab the pawn, I'm just losing. Yeah, I'm just down a piece here. So there's nothing going on there. Let's back up. Even if I don't take the pawn, you'll see I'm already in a bit of trouble. I've opened up this diagonal for his bishop. So let's back up one more move. This is the last place where I have the advantage. So bishop to d1 is recommended. That's an idea. Maneuvering this bishop around, maybe coming out on this diagonal and then getting my rooks to the center. There are ideas. Let's try this. Bishop to d1. C takes d5. I was expecting f takes e4. Okay, let's try f takes e4. That was one of the choices there. And now knight to g5. Using the knight to round up the pawn this way. So I don't really need to fear this f takes e4 idea. And let's see. His knight here, I guess, is not yet a threat. Although you have to always watch out for sacrifices on h3. So that's the way I should have played it. After I took, bishop takes, pawn takes, in this position, if I don't lose a piece, then I should play something like d takes c6. Seems to help black a little bit to play that. And b takes c6. Well, I guess I get maybe some play against this pawn, but black is better here in this position. His bishop has got great scope. This bishop has a lot of possibilities. His knight can even come into the game eventually. If I'm not generating pressure against his king, his knight can come out to e6 and maybe g5. So all in all, yeah, that bishop takes was a disaster, but bishop takes knight was a disaster, but this was a worse disaster, giving away a piece. And after bishop takes c3, it's basically game over here. Oh, excuse me. Let's play how it went in the game. I played queen takes f4. He played bishop takes c3. Yeah, at this point it's basically game over. So I think I'll just go through the rest of the game without comment. He never gives up the advantage. He keeps the advantage the whole way. He doesn't play too aggressively. He plays safely, which is probably a good idea. I mean, he's a whole piece up. He just has to avoid losing the piece back, and he's going to have a win anyway. I try to create some complications, win a pawn here or there. If I can get a few pawns as compensation, maybe I have something to play for. But really, nothing is going on. And he defends very well with using that check to get his queen back to the king side. That was a nice maneuver on black's part. and basically there's just nothing going on. I eventually resign after a few more moves. Let's get it all the way through. Yeah, we're down to 3 pieces versus 2 pieces, and he gets this passed pawn, and I'm going to have to sacrifice another piece, it looks like, to stop it. Although the chess engine points out I didn't think of this move. I could have played knight c1 here, try and hold on to the pawn from this square, but I'm still pretty clearly losing here. So I didn't resign too early. In fact, I could have resigned as soon as I lost that piece. Given the way he played, yeah, I could have resigned on move 17. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that, and leave any comments you have in the section below. I will see you again soon. Bye.